that button, we can go ahead and record it. So I do have everybody's microphone muted if you just kind of are coming in. And that's just, you won't be able to hear me if we have people continually kind of coming in and being unmuted. So everybody's microphone is muted. If you have a question as we go through this, put it in your chat. And usually your chat, if you find your Zoom menu, usually like down at the bottom, you can type in a question or something to the chat. We're going to monitor those and answer those as we go. So hope everybody is doing okay. And we're just going to wait a couple more minutes. Just sometimes people getting in, we just want to make sure that we give everybody ample time to get in before we get started. So, okay, I think I do have it recording. Yes, I do. Okay, good deal. I'm going to turn this down then. And I think I can put that on over here. Just give me a couple more minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and mute me so that you're not listening to me humming and ahming. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I am going to go ahead and record this so that I can paste it on the website. We'll put it under the virtual learning menu. And that way, those of you that want to rewatch it or you want to send it to somebody, you'll know how to do that at the end. And just one more time, if you can find the chat, then as we're going through, if you have questions, throw those up there and we'll do the best to as possible to answer everybody's questions before we get to the end. So let me introduce myself. My name is Tammy Reynolds. I'm the assistant superintendent. I also have Mr. Holland, Corey Holland, who's the other assistant superintendent here in the office with me. He's going to monitor the chat, so if you hear his voice, that's who it is. And then also on this Zooming, I have Amber DeWinter. She's going to be the teacher coach and be the main contact for those of you that are doing the secondary 6 through 12. So just looking a little bit at the agenda for today. So we're going to kind of go over the basics of the full-time virtual learning. Expectations, what does it look like to be a student in this situation, a parent, and then what are we doing here at Cache Schools? Talk a little bit about the Edgenuity curriculum, how to get help, and then we're going to hit some miscellaneous details like what about those activity hours, what about lunches, what if I've got an IEP, some of those types of things, and then at the end we're going to take questions. All right, so just to kind of cover again, I talked about Mrs. Amber DeWinter. She is going to be our teacher coordinator for this program 6 through 12. Mr. Dorrell is also one of our teachers and assistant principals here, and he does a lot with online curriculum through our alternative academy, and he is going to handle some of our seniors. And the reason for that is a lot of times seniors do not need a full load. They don't need full 6 credit hours. And so we're able to do a little bit different things with our seniors, and he's going to help us out. You have no sound from me. Okay. I think that I am not muted, so I'm not sure why they would not have sound. I can see.
Everybody else is saying we have sound. We
okay, good deal. All right, we'll keep going, and hopefully I can email her if I record that name. All right, So we're going to call this program, I should have mentioned before, kind of our digital dogs or our digital bulldogs program. And that's just kind of to help us know the difference between virtual learning and maybe the full-time virtual option, and then maybe like those virtual days that our traditional kids are doing. So, all right. So the basics of the program are students are going to be doing their lessons completely at home. So the student expectation is about 45 minutes per subject per school day. With 6 subjects, that's about 4.5 hours a day. This is obviously an average. Some students are going to be able to go a little bit faster. Some may take a little bit longer. The computer program will adjust. It will help you. We will have our calendar uploaded into the program so that you can see your progress. The computer actually will even tell you like you're on track. It'll show you a progress screen when you first log in. And it will kind of tell you that yes, you're on track, or no, you're not. And then as you get caught up, it'll say, okay, you're on target, or now you're ahead. It's fine that you're a little bit ahead in one subject and a little bit behind. That's one of the nice things about doing this. You will be able to kind of personalize those lessons. So if you get really into reading, really into a math, and kind of get ahead in that subject, and then the next day you work in the other subjects, you'll be okay. You're going to carry a load of 6 subjects, so it's a little bit different. In the regular classroom school day, usually that's 7. We can put you in 7. We just have to have at least a minimum of 6, and that's a State Department rule. That's not our rule. There's no expectation that your 4.5 hours would be all in one sitting. Each student needs to set their own schedule. You can do math and English in the morning, kind of take a break, maybe do some electives, maybe do science and social studies after dinner. I think everybody can kind of adjust and find their own time when you need help. So if maybe you know that you're going to need help in math, you want to do that at night when your parents are home, and you have somebody that can help you and maybe do your other studies during the day. You can also do 4 hours of science one day, 4 hours of math the next, and so on, whatever works. No required time of day that you have to work, no required amount specifically. You just want to follow that progress. And again, every time you log on, you're going to see a progress that's going to tell you whether you're on track, whether you're ahead, or whether you're falling behind. The program will also show you your grade. So one thing about the grade, the Edgenuity program is what we're going to be using, and it keeps you on track according to our school calendar. So if it's Thanksgiving break, there's no requirement to work. That's not a school day, and so the program is actually calculating for you as long as you're working those 45 minutes per subject on the school days, that you should be on track to finish on time. So if you have a day, we have a day off from school, maybe even a Saturday or Sunday, you work a little bit, you can get a little bit ahead. But the other thing about that is if you do fall behind, it does affect your grade. So it calculates your grade based on, how you're doing, as far as like quizzes and lessons in the program. Then if you fall behind, it does start calculating those as zeros. So not stuff that you've already done, but stuff that you should have done. So if I should have finished 5 lessons and I finished 4, it's going to calculate my grade based on the 5 lessons with zeros in that 5th lesson. So that's just kind of an incentive, as sometimes as you see that grade lower, that you catch up. Our biggest thing here is that we want to support you, want to give you as much data as you can so that you finish all of your work and finish on time. And again, once you're back on schedule, then your grade will reflect that. Another important responsibility for students is that they are doing the work. I just don't think at any time has the saying that you get out of something what you put into it more evident than when we turn you loose full-time virtual at home. I think if you're one of those students and you want to learn a lot and you want to make sure that you have got a high grade, you're taking notes, you're looking at the videos, and you're going through this program, I think you're going to be just fine. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to have a lot of success in it. If you're a student who requires a lot of extra motivation and following by your parents and staying on top of you, or you decide that maybe this isn't worth learning and you want to Google some answers and just try to pass at the minimum, that's exactly what you're going to get out of this. So this is really going to be an important test for anybody who tries this, and the fact that you have to be self-motivated. You have to be willing to stay on task. So even those days where you don't really feel like going to school and staying in your pajamas, you still have to get up and do your work. Um, Even on tests and things like that, you're going to do most of those at home. The one difference with that is that your semester tests. So if you're in a middle school grade 6 through 8, those semester tests will be required to be on like a Zoom session, and we'll schedule those with you. If you are high school, to get the credit for this course, you will have to take your semester test somehow in person. We'll do some small groups. We'll do some different you know, like I said, social distancing and some computer labs, schedule them one-on-one, but we need to get those semester tests in. There are some other programs that we can use like ProctorU or some things like that that some of the colleges use. So if we have somebody that truly cannot come to campus, we can use something like that. But those are proctored tests. So every course has one proctored test, but everything else you're pretty much on your own. And so again, that self-motivation, getting out of it what you put into it. The parent in this setting, so this program uses kind of a tiered approach. So the student is there, and then the parent or whoever has been designated to be the learning coach, that's what we're calling them, for this program, is also responsible for monitoring or providing assistance. So even though the secondary is very much the student in front of a computer, and everything should be videos and taught to them, and they can take notes, there shouldn't be any teaching involved, there definitely is some monitoring and assistance. Even as we do homework in the traditional school, we have parents that have to help sometimes and make sure that that gets done. And so that's the kind of role that we will see in grades 6 through 12. Also, as you go forward, and let me stop just a second because I think I've got some chats.
Yeah, just real quick, because it's kind of pertinent to what we're talking about. So the question, is there a limit on how far a student can get, like working ahead?
Okay, limit on how far a student can work ahead. There is not. So if you are super motivated and you want to start in August and you want to finish your math by the end of September, then you absolutely can. That is a nice, personalized approach to this. The other thing I would say is that if you do finish and you wanted to kind of have some enrichment, you can do that. We are not going to necessarily let you start second semester math until we get to that January timeframe. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that we are allowing everybody at December timeframe to make that decision based on where you are in the program or where things are in the world if you want to come back to the regular classroom.
And you mentioned semester tests, so they're asking if it's mandatory, so you need to explain why for accountability.
Okay. So yes, the semester tests are mandatory, and a lot of that has to do with our accreditation and our accountability. First of all, it's our handbook policy that everybody takes a semester test. It's a portion of your grade, and just as a traditional student, and I believe, check me, is it 20%?
Yes.
Okay, of your grade. So a traditional student takes their course all year long, and then at December timeframe, they would take those semester tests, and it would count 20% of their grade. The same thing occurs. You're still our student. You're still under our handbook and our rules for the most part. And so that 20% grade still calculates for a virtual student also. And then again, for getting credit, that's kind of that last hurdle. However, just going back to the previous question, if you finish your math in September and you want to schedule your semester test so you're done, that certainly will be allowed.
Last one. Are they going to have any interaction with other students?
Okay. Yes, you will have interactions with other students. So that's one of the reasons we pulled Ms. DeWinter in. So one of the things that she has said that she will do is set up some Google Classrooms, provide like maybe some participation. So your grade isn't 100% based on the computer grade. If you wanted to do some extra credit participation, like maybe do some current events, or we have some extra programs like Discovery Education where we can pull in lessons and you can do those to get some extra credit. There's that. And then her idea right now is to try to have, maybe every other week or so Zoom meeting that you can kind of come into, and you can participate with the other students have kind of a little Google Meets with other students in your grade level. And right now we're running probably around 30 kids at grade level doing this program. And so you would have a meet with that grade level and be able to talk to them and, you know, have a little bit of interaction. And of course, we can do that more frequently as we see that we need. The other interaction with students is there are clubs and organizations on campus, and certainly if we can try to Zoom some of those so if a student is used to participating in Beta Club or student council or something like that, you know, having you call in or do a Zoom into some of those meetings, we want to make sure that, yeah, you are still one of our students, that we can help you participate and stuff like that.
Okay. I don't want to slow you up, but
Okay.
This is going to be a popular question.
Oh.
So have a student that's enrolled in band, will they have to attend in person for that to count as a grade?
So the question is on those activities, and I am going to push that. I think I'm going to push that question off because I think a lot of you guys are going to have that, and I'm going to answer it here in just a little bit, just to keep me going. Let me make sure there's nothing in here. Okay. So we talked a little bit about the learning coach, just mainly the keeping up with progress. There is a parent portal that you can log into that will give you all the detail, like how often your student is logging in, how much time they're spending a day, also their grade, even down to looking at different lessons. Okay, how they do on this lesson, how they do on that lesson. And then every week you'll have an email that will come to you that will give you kind of an overview of everything that student has done and where their grade is. So all 6 of their subjects, what grade they have, and how they're doing in the progress. Are they on target? Are they ahead or are they behind? And then Cash Schools, of course, we're providing their curriculum, we're doing communication, and then we're providing the teachers for assistance. So I just want to go back to that. So you've got that student at home working, you've got a learning coach there, parent, grandparent, older sibling that's working with them. Then you have Mr. Winter, who is your teacher coordinator, to provide you some help. And then if you have a situation where you really need some one-on-one help, then we have a teacher behind every single one of our courses that can give you specific help in that course. Okay, so I do want to just quickly show this little video that just kind of gives you a look at what the kids are going to see on their side and how that works. I may not show the whole thing, but I do want to show a little bit of it. And it didn't, let's see.
Welcome to Edgenuity, where learning clicks. Once you've logged in, you'll see a tile for each course or program you currently have active. Each tile will give you some information about your progress and achievements so far. If you're on track, your progress will appear in blue. If you're ahead, you'll see your progress in green. But if you see your progress shown in red, it means you've fallen behind. You'll need to put in some extra time to get caught up. On some tiles, you can also view your course grade. Notice that this student has an overall grade of 95% in foundational math. That means they're currently earning an A on the work they've completed so far. Great job! It's almost time to get started in your online course. Remember to keep these tips for success in mind. First, take notes on what you're learning. You might use eNotes and you might use a pen and paper, but rephrasing what you learn in your own words helps you pay attention and remember what you've learned. Second, stay on pace. Make sure your progress bar is in the blue or even in the green. If you fall too far behind, it gets hard to catch up later. Ask for help when you need it. If you don't understand something, tell your teacher. He or she can explain it in a different way and point you toward other online resources. You are responsible for your own success, but you don't have to do it alone. And finally, avoid plagiarism. It's never okay to copy and paste other people's work and submit it as your own. Even if you find text online and you don't know who the author is, you do know that the author isn't you. You can't pass someone else's work off as your own. So always cite your sources or rephrase ideas in your own words. Now we're ready to jump into a lesson. To get started, you can click Next Activity, or you can click anywhere else on the tile to go to the course map. Click a tile to go to the course map now. This is your course map. From here, you can view the entire structure of your course. If your teacher has set a target date for you, you can check the due dates in your course map to see exactly what you need to do each day to stay on track. As long as you complete all your assignments for the day, you'll stay on pace. You can also view your e-notes here. As you work through the course, you may see alerts appear. For example, if you fall behind, you'll see a message telling you how much work you need to do to catch up. If you have feedback from a teacher, you'll see an alert like this. And if you forget to submit an activity for your teacher to grade, you'll see a reminder like this. Don't forget to submit your work once you finish it. A few other helpful things to notice. Want to switch courses? You can navigate among your active courses right here, or go back to the home page. Need help using Edgenuity? Visit the Help Center, where you'll find videos, resources you can download, and frequently asked questions. On the course map, most activities will show up as grayed out and locked unless your teacher has allowed you to move freely throughout the course. To work on any activity that's unlocked, click the activity title. This activity is a warm-up or introduction. Let's take a look. This activity starts with a video. You can pause and rewind the video at any time using the video controls here. If you've already watched the video the whole way through once, you can fast forward to the part you want to see again. However, you can't fast forward through any video segment you haven't watched yet. You do need to watch every video once all the way through. You can control the volume here. And you can turn captions on here. It's important to know that most of the important information you'll be tested on will be taught here in the videos. So pay attention and take good notes. You'll find your e-notes or digital notebook here. You can take notes at any time. Pause the video if you want to, or if you're a fast typist, you can take notes while the teacher is talking. Once you add a note to your notebook, you can go back and edit it if you need to. Just click the note and it'll appear in the e-notes text box. Edit your note and click Save. Now you may find that you want to add more to your notes.
All right. I think I just want to show just a little bit of that so that you can see what the program looks like. And I see that a couple of questions are coming in, and just keep them coming. And I'm going to go through, I think, and unless something is right at where I'm at, I'm going to take some of those questions at the end. So one of the things that you notice is that there's ability to take notes in the program. I think that's going to be really important. I've had some questions about school supplies. One of the big things is just having like a spiral notebook or having a 3-ring binder that you can take notes in. Anything that you take notes on handwritten, you can use on your semester test. And so that's both to encourage you to take notes and to help you, because we do understand that you're that it's kind of a different type of learning environment. And so getting a spiral notebook and just having one for math and one for language arts or whatever will help you in that regards. So the curriculum is going to be similar, but not exactly what's occurring in the classroom. And I think it's a good idea to get a look at that. It will cover the same material, but as you saw in the video, that there is a different teacher that's showing that video and designing those activities, and there are quizzes and things built in. So it's going to look a little different than that classroom teacher that's there, but it is basically the same amount of same material. It's videos, tutors, quizzes. There's also tutors inside there. I think I mentioned that with the chat boxes, so that there's plenty of opportunities to get help. All the books and materials are included in the program with the exception of advanced placement classes, and those are only those junior and seniors who are taking advanced placement classes will order you a separate book. Everybody else, whether it's English or reading a novel, or everything is included in the program, so you don't have to have anything like that. Students in the middle school are required to take their semester exam by Zoom or Google Meets. I've already mentioned that. And then high school will be in person. Okay, let me move on. So how do you get help? So since you're working remotely, we want to make sure that you're still a cash student. We want to support you. If you're stuck, you don't understand something, here's kind of, again, that way we want you to go. So first of all, make sure you're taking good notes. Go back through the video and instruction, looking over your notes. If you're in a core subject, at the bottom right of the screen, there's a tutoring or chat button that you'll be able to get some help in the program. So even if you're working at night or really early in the morning, then you can get immediate help that way. And an Edgenuity teacher will come on and they will chat with you. If you're having technical support with the program, you can use the customer support. If you are still just like, okay, I don't get this, this isn't making sense what they're saying, the first step is to email Ms. DeWinter. So she is kind of your cash contact for that first step to let her know what's happening. Communication is very, very important and one of the most difficult things to do when you're working remotely. So email, chat with her, contact her in some way so that she can help you solve problems. And then if you still are like, okay, I don't get this, I need to look at this another way, then if she can't help you and can't Zoom in and do some tutoring and help you, then we'll get you a different teacher in that subject area that can Zoom in and help you. So how do you pick your courses? So lots of you pre-enrolled in last spring and you have course requests in the program already through your counselors has that. And so we're working with the counselors to make sure that you get all the courses that you have chosen last spring. And if you choose something that's not available, then the counselors are going to reach out to you and say, okay, art, for example, is something that you cannot offer through remotely. This program doesn't have it, but we do offer art history. So she might reach out and say, okay, you've chosen art. We don't have that. Would you be okay with art history? Do you want to look at some of the other electives that we have? And the counselors will work with you. Ms. DeWinter, myself, none of the teachers, Mr. Doral, are going to change your schedule without contact with the counselor. So the counselors are going to help us with the schedules, and that's really to make sure that we stay on track for graduation. There's a lot of courses that Edgenuity offers. So if you go online and you look up Edgenuity, you might see like a ton of courses. However, we still have to have a teacher here that's certified in that subject. So we have to make sure that what we're matching you with, we also have a teacher behind that that's supporting it. They will offer AP classes. They will offer honors classes. So those are an option. And basically, I've looked at those honors courses, and what you see is that those honors courses are way more robust. So there's a lot more material. They're longer. They go a little bit more in depth. Now, keep in mind the regular courses are self-paced. So as an honors student, you may decide, yeah, I want that extra challenge. This is my favorite subject. I want something that's a lot bigger in that. But you may also decide that you want something that is, you just want to self-pace in the regular class, and then, you know, again, we can offer some enrichment, and you have that choice. We will, after this week, we're trying to do some training with our teachers. We're trying to do these Zoom meetings, orientations. So we're trying to answer some questions because we are getting lots of questions. I know you have them, and I'm seeing them in the chat box too. But then next week, we will really get down. The form closes tonight. We'll shut that form down probably around 10 o'clock tonight. And that's the enrollments. And then we'll go to work getting those students enrolled and start trying to reach out and say, okay, here's your classes, here's your login. Do you have any questions? Do you need a hotspot? Do you need, a device? What does your, situation look like? If you've indicated that you need something like that. And we will start communicating. Now, again, we're nearing 500 students in this, and there's about five of us that are kind of working on it. And so it's going to take us a little while to kind of get through that, but we will get you going before the start of school. Another thing I should mention, and I've had some questions about this, so I want to make sure that you do have to be a cash student. You are still a cash student. So do log on to WinGauge and do that annual enrollment verification. Even if you are working remotely, we want to verify that we have the information that is correct as far as address and emails and phone numbers, that we have permissions for the different activities and things that we have in there. Free reduced lunch forms. We're going to talk about lunch here in just a second. And I just lost my thing. There was another thing in there. You have to live, yeah, you do have to live in the district. You have to be one of our students. Shot records. You still have to have your shot. So if you're a 7th grader, you can be working remotely and you still have to have a Tdap shot. And that's not my rule. That's the State Department's rule. We are going to offer a trial period. So you have 10 school days, or essentially 14 calendar days, to decide if you want to go back to the traditional school. And after that, you are committed to finishing the semester virtually. I know that seems, and I know other districts are doing this or other districts are doing that. The problem is staffing for 500 students is a lot. So we have to make sure that we've got teachers committed and resources committed that we can be successful. And if we have people bouncing back and forth, then our classes in the traditional get quite large, or even in the virtual, we get a little, large or too small, and we have to be able to commit our staff for the semester. At Christmas time, toward the beginning of December, you'll be able to decide. We'll reach out and say, okay, this is the world today. It's the beginning of December. You've kind of, finished your semester here, getting really close. Do you want to finish the year virtually, or do you want to come back to the traditional environment? And at that point, you'll have that option. The activities. So I know I'm getting a lot of questions about activities. So here's the problem with the activities. So honestly, we are doing this and providing this program because the COVID-19 emergency. So I know we have parents out there, we have students out there in situations where they just do not feel comfortable sending their student to the brick and mortar school building. They want some options, and that's fine. We want to take care of you. We want to make sure that your learning experience is the highest quality, just like we want to make sure that our in-person students have the highest quality education. The one thing that I will say though is that so from our point of view, then we want to try to provide as many electives and things to you virtually. We don't necessarily want you in the crowds here participating in, different electives or coming to the school building. On the other hand, the Oklahoma State School Board Association, or it's not the school board, the State Activities Association says that if you are a virtual student and you want to compete, so you are going to go to that competition for band, marching band. You're going to go to that competition for choir. You're going to play in a game for football. Their rules say that if you are a virtual student, that you must attend school 1 period a day. Even if you are virtual for everything else, you must be on campus for 1 period a day. So essentially what this makes the rule sound like is that if you want to do an OSSAA activity, you want to play in band, you want to do sports, you must be on campus for 1 period. Our rule is that you can only be on campus for one period. This has caused a little bit of conflict here and there, and so let me address a couple of those. So if you are maybe in band or choir and then you also do sports, you have to pick 1 period that you're coming for. That you're coming to class for. That does not mean that you have to necessarily give up that other activity. We are trying to work. I know Mr. Greiner, specifically in band, has been very generous in saying that he will work with the band students and he's got some after school practices on Monday, so you can come to the after school practice when they're outside and working on marching. And then some of it he can provide through Zoom. The sports, the little harder to deal with, those team sports, you really have to be there practicing with that team to make that work. And so most of the time, what you're looking at if you're doing 2 is you're having to come for that 7th hour. I also understand that transportation can be a problem. We will provide transportation at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. And as a virtual student, you still are allowed to ride the bus. So if you have a 1st period athletic hour, you can ride the bus to school, but somebody has to come and get you after that 1st period. 7th hour is the same way. You can, if someone can get you here, you can ride the bus after. Of course, our 7th period are high school, and a lot of times those are practices, and so someone's got to come and get you and pick you up. If you do an activity here on campus, you must do it for the semester. So the same thing. You've got a different pacing. You've got, a different grade there for that course, and you will not earn the grade if you come till October and then don't show up the rest of the time. So you actually will earn a grade. You will earn a failing grade because we've enrolled you, and so the rules that we go by, we have to have you in that course for the entire semester. So keep that in mind too. If you're maybe something that's really short, like a cross country or something like that, maybe you don't play basketball or don't play another sport, you can go to off season. What you cannot do is stop showing up. I had a question today that kind of threw me a little bit about is the virtual days. And so if you are playing, maybe you come for the band hour, or maybe you come for the sports hour, and then on those virtual days, what are you doing? Well, we have told our teachers for those virtual days that we want to concentrate on our core subjects. We want to do a lot of interdisciplinary types of things so that kids aren't overwhelmed with 7 subjects and 7 lessons on those days. So you might have a lesson that's integrated into another subject. You might have a lesson for that subject, or you might not. And then if we do a shutdown, we aren't coming to practice basketball or volleyball or whatever it is, and so you would not come to those days either. So that's a little bit different situation, and so I wanted to make sure I bring that up. Okay, I think that I want to stop here and see if I can answer any other activities questions that I didn't address.
VOTEC, if a student does VOTEC, how does that affect the 6 virtual courses?
Okay. So if you are doing Career Tech, the Career Tech Center over at Great Plains counts for 3 credits. So those are 3 classes that you would normally not take here. And so those add up to 3, and then you would need 3 more courses to be a full-time student, essentially. So yes, you can go to Career Tech and do virtual classes. You can even come and ride the bus over. I don't know that you want to do that in this type of situation, only because if you're doing virtual, again, it's usually because there's some anxiety there. But you can come and ride the bus to Career Tech and the bus back, and then get home from here. Or you could drive over and back on your own, and then you would just go home. The biggest thing is that we do not want you on campus when you are not here for that specific activity hour. So if you go over to Career Tech and you come back, you can't hang out at campus until the bus leaves at the end of the day. That is not going to be allowed. We're going to greatly restrict our buildings and who enters and leaves our buildings. So you cannot even go hang out in the commons or the library, because we do not want extra people in the buildings this year. Because again, the whole reason that we're doing this is because of the COVID.
So a couple more questions. This one,
Okay.
I think they don't understand that the enrollment actually shuts down today, because they said if a student puts sports before deciding to do virtual learning, can they switch electives and do electives from home?
So the question is, if you quit sports, can you switch electives?
if
Is that
they-
right?
No, it says
sorry.
if the student has picked sports before deciding to do virtual.
If you've picked sports before
Now they
deciding to do virtual.
Can they switch electives?
Okay,
But
so
the
I
enrollment
think
ends
if
today,
you, so the virtual enrollment ends today. So make sure that if you plan to do, if you have planned to do virtual, that you have enrolled by today. But I think maybe it's the question, if you did a course request in the spring thinking you were going to play sports, and now you've decided you don't want to play sports. So that would go back. So let's say that we enroll you, your counselor enrolls you, you get your login information, you log on, and you only have 5 courses because we think you're coming to a sports. You need to reach out to the counselor, and they would do a course change, just like, but we want to try to get those done before school starts as quick as possible, so that we get that handled.
I just moved over here so maybe they can hear me. You don't have to repeat it.
Okay.
So the next one is this. I'm assuming they're talking about Edgenuity. Is it available in app format?
That's a great question. I do know it is supported on an iPad, so I would say yes. But I can double check that, and you can probably log on to edgenuity.com and take a look and see if there's an iPad app for that.
Okay. Another question. Will the students' grades show immediately, or are they waiting for a teacher from Cash to grade it?
Okay, so there are things in there that you will do that you have to send it off, and then Mr. Winter looks at it or sends it to somebody else to look at, and then you get that feedback back. So your grade, just like how you're doing it in a regular class, you're doing your activities, and what's graded is what you see in the grade book. Until that grade is completed and feedback is given, it isn't calculated in. And so you can get stuck if you fail a quiz a couple of times, if you need something open, but you're not going to get stuck in 6 subjects at one time. You might get stuck in English waiting on us to get your your essay back to you or your writing back to you, but you wouldn't be stuck in math or social studies. And so there is going to be a little bit of timing on those types of things. And then, yes, you have to wait on the feedback before your grade is updated.
Okay. When will the student get their login information?
So login information, we are just, everybody seems to be a little bogged down right now. The companies are bogged down. We're trying to train teachers and get everything up and going. And so right now we're waiting on access to the platform as they're setting up for our students. And then as soon as we get that done, I'm hoping by the end of this week, first part of next week, we will start in heavy next week. We get all our teachers back next week. And we will start in hard and heavy trying to get everybody enrolled. Most of it can be done by email. We can email you and say, here is your orientation video as a student, how to log in, here's where to go, here's your login credentials, make sure your courses are correct, and we can start communicating with you individually by email. Always until that point, feel free to email me. I can put my email in the chat box so everybody has it. I think I put it up at the front, but we have that ability.
Okay. Is there going to be a virtual PE?
There is virtual PE, but only for 5th grade and down. What we're doing is we're concentrating on the state requirements. That's not a state requirement for 6th grade and up. So we will not have a virtual PE for this level, only in the elementary.
I got asked a question about, do they have to be here 1 hour to participate in clubs? And I answered no, because those are not for credit.
Correct.
And then will the virtual students be notified of different activities or events involved with their grade? Should they occur? Will they be allowed to participate if they choose to, like picture day?
Okay, so this is what we have Ms. DeWinter for. So she will have Google Classroom set up, and so that type of information, she's in those buildings and knows about those activities, and we will do our best. So certainly, like a picture day, we can try to let you come up and take a picture, or do an after school time where you can take a picture. I think I mentioned the other activities like clubs or different things like that. During the school day, you cannot participate in person, but you could Zoom in or participate. We'll just kind of work with each individual sponsors who know, okay, I've got 5 students who need to do this, so I'm going to set up a Zoom, or I have 1, so maybe we're just going to do a conference call. And then you do not have to be here 1 period a day to participate in like beta club or participate in student council or something like that. And then after school hours, you are allowed to participate. And again, the idea there is that those clubs are a little bit smaller, social distancing. They can meet in places where that's possible, and you can come up and participate as much as you want or as least as you want.
Do you know if ag is an hour that has to be attended in person on a daily basis? And I think for credit, yes.
Yes, it would be impossible to do ag for credit without attending. It is one of the periods that we have said you may attend. It's not governed by OSSAA, so it has a little bit different requirements. And so that would be an individual situation where if you wanted to show an animal or participate in some ag events, but you don't want to participate in the class, I think that would be allowed. If you want that to be a period that you come every day and you have a ride to get here and back, that can happen. And then that would be your 1. And then you can participate in showing animals. So again, you can pick 1 period a day, and ag is one of those. And then, like I said, sports band and choir are the other ones that you can pick to participate in at school.
And this one's a good question, because we argue with the State Department on this one all the time. But it says, for seniors, is there a mandatory amount of classes they have to take in order to do online, even if they don't need them?
Okay, so seniors. This is why we have seniors with Mr. Dorrell and outside of this, because we do have seniors that, first of all, almost all of our seniors are in unique situations. Some of them are taking career tech, some of them are taking mentoring hours, some of them are taking a dual credit here on campus that gives them college credits, some of them are taking concurrent enrollment where they go to Cameron. So they're in all different types of situations. So that's why we put them over with Mr. Doral, because no, they are not bound by the 6 hours as long as they have met all their graduation requirements. Again, I have had the question, I only need English. Can I do my first semester and my second semester English and just be done? There is a process to apply for early graduation, and you must follow that process. Otherwise, no. You can do first semester English and be finished, and then in January we'll put you in second semester English, and you can do that one and be finished. Also, if you're a senior, that another reason why Mr. Doyle has you so specific to those types of events and requirements and all of the things that get you to graduation on time. He's making sure that he's following that. The other piece to that is that, well, I guess, I mean, those are just individual cases, but no, the short answer is no, you do not have to follow the 6 hours like the other grades do, because again, if you only need one period, you can be done.
And Mr. Doral texted in and said that Ingenuity runs on web browsers, not specifically on the app.
Okay.
And then the last question that I have here is, when are they going to know if they're approved for the Bulldog?
So I have a couple of questions. The first one that I want to address is the app question that I got a while ago. And I've had a teacher that's checked on that and is telling me that there is not an app. It's web browser based. So we'd have to look into whether you can click the browser, like click a Chrome browser, for example, on an iPad and log into that. But again, if you need a hotspot or you need a Chromebook, there will be a process to check those out. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, for virtual students, there's a $25 insurance to check out a Chromebook or one of our devices. We make nothing off of that. There's no profit that the district makes off of it. That's simply what the insurance company is charging us to cover your device. If you just absolutely refuse, I don't want to pay that $25, I know that I will keep this device in pristine condition and return it to you. Perfect. Not going to drop it. Not going to break anything on it. You don't have to pay, but it's like we've checked you out a textbook. So you either have the insurance and it's free, you turn it back in, or you do not have the insurance, and if something's broken on it, you're responsible for the damage, just like you would a textbook. Did that answer both those?
Like, when will they find out if they're approved?
The other question that I'm being asked is when you find out that you're approved. So I think that the application process threw some people off, that there was going to be, like, you had to meet certain criteria to be approved. We have in our policy that we're always allowed to deny somebody an online program. Generally, that's for maybe you have done this before and not had success. If you're not having success in it first semester, we might look at that second semester and say, this isn't for you. This format isn't working. There are cases too, and the slide I'm on is for individual plans, 504. There may be situations where it just isn't working for you because you need an accommodation that we just can't do virtually. So we might have to change to a different platform, not use Edgenuity, for example, maybe have to use something that looks a little bit different, possibly even something that's with packets or, and so those types of situations are very, very individual, and we have to deal with them when we come up. But for the far and large population, if you've done what we've asked you to so far, you have filled out the form, we have all of your information, and again, so we'll start contacting next week for you just sign off. There will be a kind of an intake form or kind of a handbook that you'll have to read through, and again, know that you are in this for the semester, know that you still have to abide by all of our discipline policies, and you are still our students. So things like TDAPs and all of those types of things apply, different immunization requirements apply. And so, but other than that, there is no necessarily like approval. You are approved at this point, and we are going to start enrolling you. let me talk a little bit about 504s. If you have an individual plan, individual education plan for some kind of services, a 504 plan because you have some accommodations, you'll be contacted. So next year, goodness gracious, I wish, next week, as we start enrolling and sending out those login credentials and sending out those schedules, one of the things that we're going to tell you is, hey, we noticed that you have an individual plan and we're going to need a team meeting, because it is kind of a change of placement if you're used to that term. So we'll have to have a team meeting that comes together and says, okay, what accommodations are we doing in the classroom and what are we going to need to do virtually? There's a lot of those types of accommodations that are built in. The programs will read to you. There's, text to speech. There's guided notes in there. Mr. Winter and Mr. Doral are able to make accommodations as far as like with the curriculum, if there's something that we need to do with that. So there's a lot of that we can handle, but we do have to meet. We can meet virtually. We don't have to meet in person, but we do have to have a meeting and make sure that everybody's on the same page. For those of you that have that, that's going to be a little bit slower process. I hope you will just have some patience and grace with us as we work through that. As we try to figure out, yes, okay, here's the courses. They've logged in, they've got their courses, but we do need to eventually get that meeting so that we can handle that change. And then state testing is another one. You have to participate in state testing. Again, you are our students, so whether you are virtual or whether you are traditionally in the building, you are a public school student and you are required to take the state test like everybody else. Okay, last minute details here. So if you need a device and you indicated that on the enrollment, we will also, as we're reaching out to you to give you login credentials, we will let you know that we understand you need a Chromebook and we will have those available. Again, there's a $25 insurance fee and a little agreement that basically says, yeah, I've paid the fee and I understand that this is a device that belongs to the school, that we do monitor those. And same thing with the hotspots. They have, like the nanny softwares and different things like that on there. The hotspots came from a grant. You do have to fill out a free and reduced lunch form to qualify for that. Even if you don't qualify for free and reduced lunches, we still have to have that form. Again, that's just the state bureaucracy at work. The form on our website, that's the stuff that's going on now, is like the annual verification form. So that's a little bit different. This is in addition to, not instead of, so you still need to go do that annual verification to tell us that you still live in the same place and have the same phone number and everything. Let's see, cost of the Chromebooks are about $300. So if you decide that you absolutely do not want to pay the $25 insurance, we'll let you do that. And then if it's lost or damaged, then somewhere between $0 and $300 you will owe for the damage on the Chromebook. Lunches and breakfast. So again, I've emphasized several times, you're one of our students. So if you would like to get a lunch, you are eligible to do that. We'll do a grab and go, much like what we did this summer through the intermediate car line. So in the back of the intermediate school in the 5th and 6th grade, there's a loop there that goes to the back door of one of our cafeterias. We'll have a form that you will have to sign up and say, okay, I want lunch Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. And then you will be able to come through at a very specific time. Right now, I think I have it right around noon, come through and you will be able to pick up lunch. The only difference, I want to make sure that you understand, it's not like summer where anybody can come and get them and it's free. During the school year, we are required to charge you for lunch. We are required to take your ID number. So you'll just need your ID number. Same thing, you can have a badge made. We can scan your badge. But the kid does have to be in the car. The student has to be in the car. And you have to have an ID number. You have to be a cash student to pick up lunch. If you qualify for free and reduced lunches, they're free or they're reduced or they're full price if you do not. You may not stay and eat in the cafeteria. You're a virtual student and we want to keep you that way and keep you safe. So this is a car drive-through only. And again, I think I've said that, like, you cannot stay on campus. We will not let you in the buildings to sit in a library or a common hour or anything like that. So that 1 hour is the only hour that you can come in. We talked a little bit about clubs and organizations. You can participate virtually in student organizations, student council, beta club. You just cannot attend the meeting during school. and Mr. Doral and Ms. DeWinter can help you out with that so that they can monitor school email and know when those meetings are and things like that. You may attend ball games and after school activities. You can receive student discounts. You're just like every other student. And then you are subject to all of our regular handbook policies and discipline. So if you are on campus and causing a problem, you are subject to suspension, and we can cut you off and enter zeros and do discipline just like we can with every other student. So we're hoping that's not an issue, but we want to make that clear. While attending, class on campus, dress codes and all other rules apply for that. All right, I did it in right at an hour, but let me continue to answer questions.
So we got one that says, if students using a Chromebook, can they take their state testing at home? And I said no, because we have to have test security. They would have to come on site and we have
Right.
to work that out. If we choose to opt out of lunches, can you get a refund? So if you have a lunch balance, you can request that balance to be paid back. And then what is the plan for badges for virtual students? Do they pay for them? Is the first one free?
The first badge is always free, I believe, for all of our students. I'm double checking because sometimes you think you know the answer, but yes, the badges are free for first time students, and then if you lose it, we charge you $1, I believe, to get a replacement. And so that would still be the case in this situation. And yeah, and I would just tell you to, in that situation, just email Mr. Winter, email Mr. Doral and say, hey, I want to come and get a badge because, I don't know, for whatever reason, maybe I want to pick up lunch, and we'll arrange that you can do that before after school. We can even probably arrange for you to do that before school starts and try to get some of that in.
Have they set a test or date for ACT?
ACT dates for seniors, I've not seen that yet. It's usually that first weekend in April. We usually have a couple of windows that we can use, but it's usually that first week or so in April when we give the ACT to our juniors, not our seniors. ACT dates for seniors to go and do that on your own. Just go to, I think it's act.org. I don't think it's .com. And they'll give you some dates and you can register for the ACT.
How would a new student get a badge?
Okay, same thing. If you want to email, I think maybe I should put Ms. DeWinter in my email address back. I think it was on number 2. Nope, I did not do that. All of our names are our first name dot last name at cashps.org. So the same kind of thing. You can email me and say that you're going to do virtual, you're a new student, you need a badge. Or once we kind of get going here a little bit, I know that they just got the the blank plates in, so I'm not exactly sure if they're taking those pictures yet, but we can find that out for you.
A question says, on state testing, will students have to be in the classroom with classmates, or will they be somewhere else for virtual learning to just take their state testing? It's in the spring, so.
Yeah, so state testing is in the spring, usually in April. The plan right now is that we would try our best to put you in small groups. And we're just going to have to take that on a case-by-case basis, because if we have, so first of all, at this level, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade have to take reading and math. And then 11th grade takes the ACT. So that's all the testing that we have. But for those kiddos that need that, we would try our best to schedule you some small groups to come and do that. And we can even do that testing after school. We can do it as late as, I believe, 7 at night. The state puts a little bit of parameters on that, but we can spread out and we can do that test, and that would be our plan should we go all the way to April with this.
And I'll answer that. It said, if we currently have enough devices, but one happens to fail, can we request one at that time? And I said, yes.
Yes.
You're not punished for not taking it at the start. So when the need arises, you would just let us know and we would address it then.
Yes, absolutely. The other thing maybe I didn't say is that the State Department has authorized us, like if you have more than 3 students in your, so the plan is 2 students could share a device. Once you get to 3, you may need another device to let us know that. If you've got 3, 4, or more students in your house and you need an extra Chromebook or an extra device so that's available, we can do that. I think we can do that on hotspots too.
as long as they're free and reduced.
Yeah. So, all right. It is right at 5 o'clock. And so I'm going to cut us off so that I honor your time. I was trying to keep us at an hour. And then so I'm going to post this recording on the virtual learning menu on our website. And so we'll post it probably as a link to YouTube. If I had to guess, that's usually the easiest way to do that. Everybody can reach it. So we'll post this one. We're doing another one on Monday afternoon. I say evening. I think it's like at 5:30. So if you have somebody that or some other question that you think we need live questioning, otherwise you can click in and watch the video on the website. You guys have a great afternoon and evening. I appreciate your time and appreciate you attending. All right, bye.